Welcome back everyone to my Let's Play of The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. And Felfel got some more exploring to do. So he was told that there is several portals like the one that he found on Death Mountain, and we saw a few of them. There was one to the south of the Eastern Palace, there was one to the north of the second palace there on the swamp, and now there's going to be one that we're going to head to by the Lost Woods. So, but first, since we're in the area and we have the Master Sword, let's read the inscription on this little pillar, monument. And we get the magic of Bombos, which is going to be really, really handy in the next dungeon, so. It's the only medallion. There's 3 medallions in the game, and it's the only one that's not needed to complete the game, but it is very, very powerful. We'll actually get the most use out of that medallion, so. Like I said, it's going to be really, really handy in the upcoming dungeon, so. Now, the upcoming dungeon, it's in the Lost Woods, the Dark World equivalent, which is next to the Thief's Town, where we're going to get a whole bunch of rupees, so we might as well spend all our rupees here, so I'm just speeding up here. I'm going to max out my arrows up to the 70, just by chucking in the 50 rupees at a time. One more time and we'll be good to go. So. Alright, so now we have our max bombs and arrows, and we don't have to worry about spending any more rupees there anymore. As you can see, I'm using that little duck guy to fly us around. And I might as well buy some potions here. I used one of the blue potions in the last dungeon. I was getting a little bit low on health and don't have much more to spend rupees on, so might as well get some potions. So. Yeah, fairies, I guess, ain't really gonna cut it anymore. Fairies, they refill up to 8 units of life, but we have more than 8 units of life, so probably need potions to do that, so might as well grab the blue ones. Like I said, no, most of the time you don't necessarily need to refill your magic, but might as well. We don't have much else to spend our rupees on, so. So we have a few changes here. This tree used to drop apples. Now it is dropping bees. We have a whole bunch of bees in it, so. Not bees like the rat at Marty Mouse house. One of the 4. Albert, Bees, Chip, and Nichols. So, run into this tree and we get a fairy. Boink. So that wasn't there earlier, but a lot of things have changed. And one of the things that has changed is up here. That tree, the lumberjacks are gone. And that tree looks very suspicious now. We're gonna come back to that tree. I'm gonna show off a interesting secret later on, so. But here's another kind of secret. If we pull on this stump now, we can get some rupees. Maybe I wonder if that's that thief's stash. So, And if we run into this tree, we get a whole bunch of bees. Ah! Well, this guy's really stealing all our stuff. So, all right. Well, he can have it. We'll get more rupees and arrows and bombs later on. So, but we dash into this tree, and leaves fall off, and we can fall in this hole in the stump. And it's going to take us to a little fairy section here. We can get some fairies if we need it up there. But more importantly, we want to get that piece of heart. Now, this is probably the easiest way to get into a secret room here. So I selected the bomb. So first what we're going to do is we want to dash into this tree. And then we're going to head down here and we're going to place a bomb and have the bomb blow us back into the hole. And that, for some reason, messes up a Y coordinate, and it takes us into the secret Chris Houlihan room. So, there's a whole bunch of rupees in here. I believe there's 245 in total rupees we get. So, but yeah, over 200 rupees we get there. And then when we exit it, it takes us back to Felfel's house. So there are multiple ways to get into that room, and I'll show off all the ways to get into that room at the end of this episode. But that's pretty much the easiest way to do it. Basically, it's supposed to be a placeholder room. If the game ever messes up your Y coordinate, which is your vertical spacing, that's a safety room to basically reset the game so it doesn't crash. And apparently the rumor is, back in an issue of Nintendo Power, which was the old magazine that Nintendo used to put out, they used to run contests, and one of the contests was if you got a picture of yourself fighting Warmech in Final Fantasy and sent it in, you'd get your name put in a room, so, in a future video game, so. Now, no one has ever found out who Chris Houlihan is, so there was the rumor that he doesn't really exist, and that was, no one really actually won that contest, but they just had that name as a placeholder, so whoever, if somebody did win that contest, but most of the time Nintendo Power followed up on the winners for the contest, like they'd show the people who won the contest and, you know, just for good publicity, but they never had like a Chris Houlihan follow-up, so, or a contest follow-up for that contest, so a lot of people just speculated that no one won the contest because no one found Warmech in time for the contest to end, so they just kept that little placeholder name in there, so. Now we're heading around the Lost Woods. We've run into some trees. There's that one tree that had bombs in it to the west of the sanctuary. Now we're going to head around this way, and we're going to get into that. There's that tunnel, that tile that takes us into the Dark World, in the between the Lost Woods. And we got a tree there to talk with. And the Lost Woods in the Dark World here are known as the Skull Woods. So there's basically one path to get through the woods, and then the other path, this path we're on right now is going to take us through the woods, but then through the other entrance of the Lost Woods will lead us to the third dungeon. And it's kind of a unique dungeon in that there's multiple entrances, multiple ways to get through it, and you're going to have to, you know, go into one entrance, then leave another. So it's kind of a more complex desert palace. Remember, the desert palace had, you know, 4 ways in and out. This one's going to have multiple ones, both through normal, like, little entrances, and then also where you might find a hole under a bush. So there's another place where we can buy a blue shield if we had our shield eaten by one of those like enemies. Oh, there's a piece of heart up there, but we can't get that yet. We're gonna need a special item to get that, and that item we'll hear what that item is when we read this sign. I'll give a piece of heart to the person who wears the cape. Okay, well, we'll have to get the cape a little bit later. The fortune teller is going to tell us where to get the cape, or give us a clue to that cape, but we can't get that fortune just yet, so. And there's the fortune teller right there. It's the only fortune teller in the Dark World. But now we're going to head into the Lost Woods again, the Skull Woods, I should say. And if we're going through this way, we can actually start accessing the dungeon. So we're going to fall into this hole here, and we're going to end up in this room here. So I'll show off all the entrances to the dungeon, even though you don't necessarily have to use all of them. So now we have the main mummy, the main enemy, I was gonna say main mummy. Well, the main enemies in this dungeon are these like undead mummies, and you figure mummies, they're probably dry, made of bandages, so they're probably susceptible to fire, and they are. So as you can see, it took quite a few sword hits to defeat them, but the Bombos medallion just destroys them all in one thing, and it's a hit all, so it hits everything on the screen. So it's really good at clearing out these whole bunch of mummies. So, fell down a hole, dope. Get that star tile, switch this off, and we get the map. So, yeah, this is kind of a complicated dungeon, a lot of entrances. There's the big chest, but we're gonna head and get the big key in a little bit here, so. There's kind of a main entrance there. Here's another entrance hole that we can fall into to get into a different part of the dungeon. So, this is gonna kind of lead back to that room that we were in, that we just entered earlier from another hole, or that first hole. What's the little fire things? It's like Super Mario Brothers, the little fire things in the castles, the Bowser castles. So more little these squid monsters, and you'll see why they're around a lot, because another trap in this area is a lot of pitfalls. So we get the compass here, and boom, all these pits magically appear. Now, before those pits appeared, you can walk over where the pits are, and they won't hurt you, but... So here we'll just use our Bombos medallion to destroy all these mummies and that little Stalfos there, the red-headed Stalfos that throws bones at you. And we'll get a key. And you don't have to use this key on the door over there, but I'm just going to use it. This is going to take us back to the entrance. So, yeah, we saw this one here. But I'm just going to show off, you know, how all the rooms link to one another. So I'm going to head down here to the south. And there'll be a door on the right. And that door will lead us to the room where we entered the first time we entered this dungeon. We fell down that hole. We ended up in this room. Looks familiar. And we don't have to defeat the mummies because we already got the key and all. So let's head over this way. Now we could go around. You can use the hook shot to cross that gap up there and go around, but to get to the top of that room. But we can also get to the top of that room by falling down that hole. Remember in the light world, we chopped down the middle bush there and fell down a hole to get that piece of heart in the thief's dungeon? We're going to do that again here in the dark world. Remember the twins in the other world. But first we're going to head into this section of the dungeon, because this is where we're going to get the big key. Luckily, you don't have to go too far into this section of the dungeon to get the big key. But there is something tricky right here. I see those hands dropping down. If they grab you, they'll warp you back to the entrance of the dungeon. So we have to be careful here, because we have to pull this statue onto this button, and you're kind of vulnerable to the hand. So I like to usually wait until the hand pops down, and then when it hops up, then that's you have enough time usually to be able to pull that statue up to place on the button. So yeah, we finally get the big key here, so we're good to go. And we'll get a lot of use out of our magic mirror here. So let's just go over here real quick into this little hole here. And now I could use the magic mirror to warp back here, but I'm just gonna clear out this little section here because there's another entrance. Now right there, there's obviously something north of that room there, but we can't cross that hole. I guess we could use a bomb jump to do that, but I guess that's kind of an advanced trick and not one the game developers really force you to have to know how to do to beat the game. So we'll just get to that upper room by the way that the developers probably intended. Over to the left there is like that weird looking like a bug skull. That's where the final section of the dungeon is. But we'll have to get there. We can't get in there yet. We have to use the item that we're going to get later on in this dungeon to get there. So fall down this hole, and that takes us to the north of this room here. And that will also allow us to hit the star tiles to remove that gap, and then also remove the gap in front of this door here. There's not really anything really important in this door here. There's just a bunch of treasures underneath these skull pots. So we fell down the hole, though. We can use our hook shot to just get across there and grab the rest of these little treasures, see what's in here. Nothing important, but now we just use our mirror. We're back here, and we're taken to where we enter the dungeon. So now we're going to exit the dungeon through the entrance that we came into with earlier, where we got the big key. And now it's time for us to head to that 3x3 section of bushes. And I said earlier that we're going to cut down the middle bush to create a hole to fall down into the northern part of the entrance room. So we just fall down that hole. And one of the first things we want to do is, you see there's that wall over there we're going to have to bomb. But when you enter in from the top here, one of the things we have to do is we have to hit the star tiles. Otherwise, there's going to be a hole over here that we can't pass. So, this where I'm walking at right now would be a hole. So, cross here, get the treasure. We don't want to lift that skull up first. We'll pull this switch, and this whole wall blows up. And now we can finally get the item in this thing, the fire rod. So it's like the ice rod, but it shoots fire. And we've completed a large section of the thing. All we have left to do is that section hidden behind that bug monster. But first, let's talk about the Chris Houlihan room. So here's the Nintendo Power issue that basically said that if you find War Mech, you will get your name in a game. So here's a few ways we can get into this now. The main pyramid at the end, in the entrance of the Dark World, if you head to the room to the right, the screen on the right, dash into the wall, and then bounce back, and then head up toward the pyramid. Later on in the game, there'll be a hole that'll appear at the top of the pyramid. And if you jump into that hole, boing, it takes you to the Chris Houlihan room. Another way is, there's two kind of from the sanctuary here. This one is also somewhat easy to do, but we're going to head over to the graveyard. I'm going to lift this block, and we're going to push this tombstone here. Remember, we entered this tombstone to get at the passageway through the swords. We have to push on it. I keep dashing into it. But push it, and then like the forest one, the first one I showed, the Chris Houlihan room, we're going to use a bomb to push us into the hole. That messes up the Y coordinate, takes us to the Chris Houlihan room. This one's a little bit trickier to do. We're going to start from the sanctuary, and tend to want to use this one like when you're powered up, because it's kind of based on time. You leave from the sanctuary, and then you kind of dash, try to get here as quick as possible. But we're trying to get to the hole where we entered the where we found our uncle who was injured at the beginning of the game, and you have to do it in a certain time limit. So that's why the when you're fully powered up and you have the final sword, you can take out all those guards in one hit, and you do that, and boom, back in the Chris Houlihan room. So we have one more here to go, and we'll just warp to the, this is the easiest way to start it at, warp to the center square. This one's going to be very similar to the one with the pyramid in the Dark World. We want to start a dash at this tree, bash into the tree, then start another dash, and then before we hit the tree, turn around and dash off the screen. And I think that's what messes up the Y coordinate. And then we're going to dash over here and over to this hole underneath this bush. And if everything is right, we fall down that hole, and we end up in the Chris Houlihan room again. The rupees only appear once per game, so if you clear it out, they won't respawn unless you save the game and reset. So, thanks for everything. Follow along. Have a good day. Bye.